As you are aware, His Excellency the President was actually here yesterday to launch the NYOTA capital disbursement project, where he actually pressed the button and the beneficiaries for Kisii County, who were about 3,820, and for the 3 counties that were here, which also includes Migori and Nyamira, who were about 8,800, all got 25,000. That was split between 22,000 going into Pochi la Biashara of the individuals that benefited, another 3,000 each going into savings. So I came to join the President and all the other government officials to witness that event, which was actually momentous because it was targeting youth aged between 19 and 29 years who had not gone beyond Form 4. They were either Form 4, dropout and below. And as you know, His Excellency the President had always committed in the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. And part of that transformation is actually touching the very bottom of the pyramid. And there is no other bottom you can touch other than children or youth who never exceeded beyond 4, who are a big number, and who we want to give a future and a hope. And I think yesterday just proved that we don't just talk and don't do, we talk and do. Several months ago, I was here to actually launch the NYOTA program, and again, many of you members of the media covered me, actually at the same Kisii Polytechnic, because this was the first outpost of all the sub-county offices we went. And you saw long queues of Kenyans and local youth queuing up to actually register and validate. Eventually, that's what culminated yesterday with this disbursement of the funds, the 8,800 for the 3 counties, or 3,300 for Kisii County. And you saw it was a mix of male, female, and also cutting across every ward in the country, because this program is non-discriminative, this program is inclusive, this program does not need to know who you are, you just register, and you're eligible, and you come in. Thank you, and I think it was very, very successful. Obviously, as I let you also ask 1 or 2 questions, in addition to launching NYOTA, which was very, very successful, as you saw, the youth were very, very happy and their families. His Excellency the President also inaugurated the Nyambera market, which in fact is a build-up to the Nyambera Park that had actually been built by the county government, led by His Excellency Governor Simbarati. So the market augments the rehabilitation of the park. And many of you, I don't know if you're old enough to realize that that site was actually a dumping site. It was actually a place where you could never encroach or approach. So yesterday, for His Excellency the President, the Governor, and all the dignitaries to actually go there and lay a foundation stone, obviously, in addition to the park that has been built, just shows there is development. The Singapore that His Excellency the President is talking about is not Singapore coming from the sky. It is those little beautiful progresses like the Nyambera market, like the park that the Governor has built, where you guys can go after work and chifinchari. You can literally go and lie under a shade and enjoy a good, clean environment. That's really what you're talking about for development. And obviously, the President also spoke to many other projects. One of the 5 pillars of the current 5th administration of President William Ruto is actually digital superhighway and creative economy. That digital superhighway had a national target and a local implementation expectation. Nationally, we were targeted to roll out 100,000 kilometers of cable and also open digital hubs in 1,450 of the county ward rep level across the country. And in addition to that, His Excellency the President also committed 25,000 free Wi-Fi again across the country. In terms of the local implementation of that lofty vision, which was set by His Excellency the President, in Kisii County, the best example, because sometimes you talk and people say, but we haven't seen it. The best example is the Chitume Center here that we were in. This center has got 100 computers. This center processes shifts of 100 students per shift, and shifts can be anything 2 to 4 hours. And in a day, they can shift maybe 3 to 4 shifts in a day. And what I'm told now from the center manager, because the numbers I'm given, they've trained nearly 380, almost 400 students who have actually learned and graduated. This is basically an example of all the other centers we've set out. So where are we in terms of statistics? We've got a center of excellence, which we have 47 of them set up across the country. For Kisii County, our center of excellence is near Ogembo Town, in Machoge Church. That's where land was found. In That in fact is under construction, and we shall soon be actually going out on a tour of development with the Minister for ICT and also the governor and the rest of the leaders to see the progress. There are also other standard hubs that are actually under construction because, as you know, civil works take time to actually build across the country. And the plan is that once the civils are done, to actually equip with computers, desktop computers, so that we have similar centers like this Chituma Center here across Kisii County and across the country. So that is actually the plan. And in terms of digital jobs, many of you might have followed so the pronouncement by His Excellency the President is public information. We have taken in countrywide anything over 300,000 digital jobs across the country, and there will be anything from the call center type sort of business process outsourcing, we call them, where children go into call centers and serve, sort of customer service requirements across the world, because Kenya speak English, very good English, as Excellency the President, that we know that. So you can actually transact with Americans, Europeans, anywhere. So those call centers are virtual, working from here, and many other online jobs that have actually come up. So over 300,000 kids since this program began 3 years ago. You may not necessarily see it, but it is real. And I think the best example was that young man who was actually doing currency trading, and he says he's done it for the last 2 years. He's made a real money, and he's also teaching other people how to do this thing. And currency trading is a proper trade. It's different. It's a digital trade, different from your normal, agriculture or chicken rearing or something like that. And it is happening. See, there's a commitment of about 7 billion coming from the national government to do about 270-kilometer different roads across the county. And as you know, Kisii County is actually one of the largest counties with 9 constituencies and 45 wards. So our leaders represent our petitions in terms of which roads deserve to be opened to serve our people, to serve the local population, and those roads were then planned. And just to talk about accountability, none of these statements that the HE, the President, speaks about is actually out of a single context. You normally get briefed, it normally be provided for, budgeted. By the time he's making a commitment, it's built up into the national budget plan, and it then has to go through the rigors of tendering and award, through the normal sort of processes, that the country must go through that on each year, so that when it's actually happening, it's also going through process. So I can commit that all these projects His Excellency the President has spoken to are real, they're actually planned, and they're actually happening, because even the local leaders who are promising are also accountable to the population. As you heard him say, the employer is the people, the employer are the local population. So if you tell them they can't see it, they'll actually bring you into account. So it's important for all of us to actually bring out what is committed happens. If I also just speak maybe from that question, not just the roads, there was a commitment around doing the Kisii study. If you look at the state of Kisii study, which in fact, and Kisii is actually one of the best, most fanatical teams. Shabana, it's only just outside Gorma and AFC that's got one of the most fanatical followers across the country. So there's a match at Kisii Stadium, the match is full, you get youth dancing and saying Tore Bobe and all that, and that stadium deserves better than what we have. So the national government has picked that as a national project. They are actually coming, and the President committed February next month to actually come out and do it. And some of these mega projects are actually done by defense. So the military normally promises and do things. If you see, for example, there was a commitment made about the Mira University. We went and saw the ground at Kiabonyoru. The next thing, in a few weeks, the contractor moved on the ground. Today, I challenge you, hold me to account, to go to the Mira University site and find construction going on. So if you actually also take your time to verify, and you can do that, you can actually see every commitment, every promise made is actually something planned. The only thing you have to know is that when it's a mega project, you go through a planning procedure to award. Some of them are in progress, some of them are in the pipeline. The Cancer Center, for example, was a legacy project. And it's a very important project for all of us because cancer has become a menace to us. The President has committed that heart also has to be completed within his tenure. And that is actually going on. The generation is in fact has been younger than you. This has happened in other parts of the world, Singapore itself, many other UAE and other, many other economies within a 30-year period can actually transform, provided there's a vision and commitment. All these projects that I've mentioned, touching different facets of the better plan, be it, for example, the digital superhighway and creative economy, be it the infrastructure that we're dealing with the stadium or in fact the airport, be it the affordable housing, which in fact they say there will be 10,000 affordable housing units where the current prison, Kisii prison is, because that's going to be relocated. As I said, there's no reason why prisoners should be the city center or town center and push the normal population out of town. Be it agricultural reform, be it MSME, small and micro enterprise, which in fact is where this NYOTA came from. Each one of them are transformative in their own sense, and especially transformative targeting the most vulnerable, the weakest part of our population. The moment that side, and also universal healthcare. The SHA now is got about 29 million registered users. If you compare that with NHIF, where there was hardly 7 million throughout its entire tenure, users who are basically lead, you had to be employed to actually be NHIF. Now with SHA, you are having your own informal income, you register, and you make sure you just keep your status current with a few hundreds of shillings. Within a recovery, you can get the recovery. So all I can say is that all those projects are actually intended to touch the basic needs of our population of Kisii and Kenya, and once they're actually affected as they are, they'll actually be changing lives.